What's going on, guys? It's Frito here for your Overwatch. The pros have been playing on the upcoming November 15th patch, nerfing a bunch of characters, and really showing us how to maximize the Kiriko Rush playstyle. In today's video, I want to break down some of the biggest hero shooter and ultimate-based plays that everyone can learn from, even if you're not pro, so you can better make sense of the action for the grand finals, where I think Dallas Fuel is going to take it all, but also implement some of these strategies, tactics, and understanding into your own gameplay. Oh, hey guys, I'm a lord now. Today's video sponsor is Established Titles. Established Titles is based on a historic Scottish tradition where landowners were called lords or ladies. So what you do is you buy as little as 1 square foot of estate in Eddleston, Scotland, and you get yourself a certificate with a crest. That's my unique plot number that you can use to see the exact location of your land. Then you get to call yourself a lord or a lady, legit. You can even add lord or lady to your dating profile. You plant a tree with every order and work with global charities, One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future, to support global reforestation efforts. It's fun, a bit quirky, a great gift, and I like mine because it's a cool conversation starter when friends come over. Also, it's a nice way to help preserve the beautiful biodiversity of Scotland and help the world in general. I'm told that all of you that use our referral link will be in the same subdivision, or kingdom, I guess, for your Overwatch, and the first 200 of you that sign up will be right next to my plot of land. Let's see just how many trees we can get them to plant. They've got a huge sale going on right now, but if you use our code Overwatch, you'll get an additional 10% off. That's establishedtitles.com/Overwatch. Get your 10% off, help them plant a tree, save the environment, become yourself a lord or lady today. There's been a few different approaches to how to play Kiriko in the pro meta. Some teams have been sending her off on wild flanks to try to almost solo carry and play for picks, but the style that Dallas Fuel have been using, I think, is the most potent. Some of the secrets to the formula, I think, is a much better understanding from Dallas about the Kitsune Rush ultimate, how to maximize it, where to place it, how to time it. Although Kiriko can get some pickoffs and good damage in, her healing is her best way to farm up Kitsune Rush faster. So you don't want to neglect that, and you want to be in position to make sure to keep your team alive. In many fights, you'll notice that the Dallas Fuel do a good job of avoiding the enemy sojourn and brawling in closer range, focus firing the thing in front of them and making sure they're on the same page as a team. A few goals of this team comp, as well as the mirror match in general, is to use your defenses to ward off the enemy sojourn's railgun headshots. The lower ranked teams in the tournament, I think, fall victim to this the most, and you'll see the most seemingly carry impact sojourn play from the lower tier teams that aren't able to play defensively enough or quickly stay out of line of sight. Dallas has this threat too, as Edison is a solid sojourn in his own right and might win the team fights just off his play. But what's more impressive is how well the coordinated unit of Dallas plays in and out of the team fights, allowing the core of their team and teamwork to be the thing that defines why they win. And it takes stellar shot calling to be able to make the read if we're going out or going back in. The reasons why you want to go in is when you have a good team concave onto a single target. The better your team's angles are set up to crossfire and put focus fire into something that can die, the more likely you are to win. On the second fight of Village, they wait for their Sojourn player Edison to come back, and in both ways they take this engagement are looking to take out the enemy's Reaper out in front. Soft resetting, re-engaging with their whole team turning the corner together made for very quick work to burst down Prophet, who took a rail body shot from the side, probably unsuspectingly, before he used Wraith or the Suzu came out. This is why it has been seen as pretty important to use Suzu as a tempo ability. As you're rushing in, closing the distance, Suzu can be great to buffer the engage. If you think about how the breakpoints of the game work, there's a lot of characters that can smash into one another. Let's say like 2 Winstons, right? Not a big skill discrepancy between them in a lot of cases. But while in some matchups, using the Suzu to save him from the brink of death might be useful, in a very standard mirror match, using Suzu at the peak of the engage so he retains armor health makes him a lot tankier throughout the brawl, which is maybe a bit unintuitive. Using Suzu this way is less opportunistic, like you might expect to use it in ranked, and instead as a rush tool to just buffer closing the distance and running headlong at the enemy with close range characters that can carve them up. This is what allows characters like Winston and Reaper to be so good in this meta, because the things that normally would poke them and pressure them down and make them them scared to keep advancing get completely countered by that few moments of invulnerability frames as they get on you. And then once they get on you, that's all they needed to be far ahead in just about any matchup, and Suzu allows them to do that. And if that wasn't enough, the Kitsune Rush Ultimate is insane by itself. Nobody is better than Dallas at setting these up. Let's look carefully at the timing of the Kitsune Rush. In between the engagement of Soul with a couple members to the left and a couple to the right. This means as Dallas turn the corner, they can divide and conquer. Of course, the Suzu on the Winston there out in front, running the thing down, shooting twice as fast. Remembering that faster attack rate does the best when it's attached onto some very reliable, easy to land damage. It'll just tick them down and overwhelm them. Here's another one, anticipating Soul to come through this doorway. This time we get a good look at Fearless getting a lot of his cooldowns back. Imagine this, a monkey in your midst with a bubble down in the gates, firing faster, and he stands in the gate to get a second bubble rotation and all these extra leaps. So not only can you not get through because the tank's there, he keeps getting his cooldowns back, and oh yeah, half your team thought you were going to get through that choke. And so masterful timing on the engage here as the enemy Winston's trying to get through the disruption, and Kitsune laid right down in the middle of the brawl, and that's how you establish rush supremacy. Now, it all sounds so easy when I describe it like that, but Dallas is also the best at understanding that the reason why you play these 5 heroes is because they have the escapability to get out of these engagements or have tools to interact with Kitsune Rush. Reaper, with how tanky he is, either to Wraith form to escape or using his lifesteal and Death Blossom, he even can survive in the midst of some of these crazy brawls if he's life leeching on enough enemy targets. Winston, with his leaps and Primal Rage, has enough HP and mobility to get the heck out of dodge or disrupt a little bit so the enemy can't easily brawl within the gates and stand and deliver like they want to. Most of the time, these zippy mobile characters want to get out when the enemy is using Kitsune Rush. And it's unlikely that you'll get a fight win or eliminations, but Dallas are the best at finding where those elims are. And you can very quickly going from thinking, hey, I thought this was our free win button, to, oh wait, the Reaper's in the middle of all of us, life leeching, and we're all dead. There's been a lot of emphasis put on Sojourn as a oppressive GM/pro level hero, and I think that's warranted. But as time goes on, it seems pretty clear that even as powerful as she is, she's not enough oftentimes to outmatch the ferocious power of teamwork with this rush playstyle. There's many teams, including Dallas, that very easily convert fights if you overemphasize punishing Sojourn. Because the problem is, oftentimes Sojourns will take off angles, be dipping away, going on flanks. And while yes, maybe you can send your Winston after her to Primal Rage her for a while, the problem is, with the deployment, an area of effect of Kiriko Suzu, Kitsune Rush, and Lucio Speed Boost, it's often not a great trade to give the Sojourn as much credit as a lot of teams try to do. You kind of feel between a rock and a hard place because, you know, the railguns certainly are annoying and can delete half your team in the matter of a few seconds, but at the same time, so does Focus Fire and rushing the Reaper in. Now, because I've been playing so much Reaper and Winston, I will have guides on those characters more in depth coming up, how you can approach playing with randoms, but a few tips that we can learn from the Dallas Fuel that you can implement into your gameplay right away is remember, only engage with your resources. And yes, that literally means drop the objective if you don't have Winston Bubble or Suzu available or whatever else. This meta about speed and rushing is very resource dependent, so you need to be able to set up your fights and not get too married to contesting the objective when you can't, because a lot of these characters feast on those types of mistakes. Particularly, I'd say Winston and Reaper gobble you up for overextending. My second tip is respect the threats. Sojourn and Reaper have the biggest carry potential, so that either means you need to position on cover or inside of houses, out of her line of sight completely to avoid the railgun headshots, or when you're in the brawl against the Reaper, you gotta keep track of him. Often it's gonna be the damage's job to shoot back at that enemy Reaper to stop him from advancing. While yes, it might feel juicy to shoot at the Winston and force him out, know that he's designed to be able to tank, and correctly cycling his health pool and defensive bubble will mean he'll keep living and eventually get to primal, which will punish you for overextending into him while he's playing at his limits. So he can be quite a bait target if he's played well. Instead, try to remember that you reduce the amount of damage your team takes when you deny the damage dealing threats from the enemy. So if your opponents are playing so much Kiriko on off angles, it's probably going to be more easy for you to punish in your games. Remembering that if you force her out, TPing to her team, well, that means the mobility characters you have will be able to punish that window of her not being able to escape again. Oftentimes, corralling them together is a benefit. And when you have more mobility cooldowns than they do, that means you can press in harder. The Kitsune Rush Ultimate is all about positioning and timing, both playing in it, using it, and countering it. Make sure you're ready to set up your resources to survive it or interact with the squishies that are going to play inside it. Or, you know, a movement or escape cooldown to get out of there. Those are my main tips on how to survive this upcoming Kitsune Rush metagame that we'll be getting with the new patch come November 15th. I'm excited to watch the grand finals. I hope you are too. Let me know who you think is going to win it all. And be sure to check out today's video sponsor, Established Titles. They'll be linked in the description below. Let's get them to plant some more trees. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.